Building a family can be a complicated, messy, lonely, and sometimes heartbreaking process. But you don't have to navigate this challenging journey alone. Welcome to the AllPaths podcast, where we support and celebrate all of the different ways there are to try to grow your family. We're your hosts, Emily and Leanne from the nonprofit organization AllPaths Family Building. And today we're talking with Ruthie about her journey. Ruthie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be here.
So before we get into your family story, we'd love for you just to quickly introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure. So my name is Ruthie Leiden. I have been working in education in some capacity for the last 21 years. I'm currently working as a school counselor, but I was a teacher once upon a time, moved over to school counseling, born and raised Worcester, Massachusetts, and went to school in DC, lived in DC for almost 7 or 8 years, including college. Loved it, loved DC, moved back, went to Worcester State. That's where I got my first degree in teaching, master's. And then I went to Cambridge College, got another master's in school counseling, followed by school social work, all the things, right? And now I work in Boston Public Schools. I've been in urban ed primarily. And my kids, we have 2 adopted children, and I'm going to be 46 years old. And that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. That's really great introduction. So now can you tell us a little bit about your journey to starting a family? Where did it all begin?
I mean, it's a pretty bad story. I'm not going to lie. It does have a happy ending, as you know, we hope they always do. However, I met my husband, I was 34, and his name is Chris. And of course, at 34, I was like wanting to have children because that's a good age to have them. And I think another thing, we don't do well as a country, I don't know if this goes on in other countries, is teach about fertility, right? So I knew, but I don't think I really understood, how quickly that time passes and what that means for your fertility, et cetera. So from Jump Street, we got married, started to try to have kids, wasn't working. Saw Dr. Skiatis, who's like my lifeblood. She's no longer with Boston IVF, but she's just a queen, and you'll see why. So I initially had the tube thing where they shoot the blue dye, and I had a blocked tube. So first thing, well, of course I was devastated. The horror, oh my God, that something's wrong with me. And we did a surgery where she took it out. And of course, in my head, I'm like, well, she's going to take out that tube and I'm going to get pregnant. It's going to be fine. And then when you only have one tube, you automatically qualify insurance-based for IVF. So why wouldn't we? Let's just do this. So off we go. IVF, all the things. I actually got pregnant the first time and had like a really high HCG and was like pumped. And of course, again, I'm like, I got this. Just get me pregnant. I think nothing of it. And had a miscarriage. Devastated. Because we had already been in it a year, right? Which isn't long, but it is long when all you want to do is be a mom, right? And I always did. I mean, I worked with kids my whole life. That was the only point in my life, was to become a mother. So that happened. I think I had the miscarriage a week after my husband's father died, which was super tragic, super sudden, super unexpected, aortic dissection, absolute nightmare. Was perfect one day, gone the next.
I'm so sorry.
It was awful, right? So go back to almost, 9 years, right? So then followed by his death, and I was pregnant during, the wake and the funeral and all the things and da 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 da. So at least we kind of were having that hope, right? And then fast forward to miscarriage, devastation, blah 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 blah. So continue on. We went back to the drawing table. We put in 2 embryos, got pregnant, and actually it makes me wonder if I did another round in there. Anyway, got pregnant, had 2 embryos, boys. Pregnant, sick. Yay, I'm sick. Yay, I'm sick, but I also want to die. Want to die. Want to die. Want to die. So sick. Get to 20, I don't know. One baby had a nuchal translucency scan that was off, not by so much. They were like, you know, 6, 7, let's not freak out about it. But I'm freaking out, right?
Obviously.
And right. And I've been taking neonatals and folic acid for like, you know, my whole life. Because I was like getting ready to be a mom. So C and MFM. So they send us to a maternal fetal medicine doctor. Her name is Dr. Vadnais. 10 out of 10 recommend. Love. Neither doctor gave us a baby, but both doctors were amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. Actually, every doctor through my whole process was incredible. So we see her and she says, I think it's fine. We did the blood work and I think it's fine because they're twins and we just don't know. And we're in double sacks, 2 sacks. So we just don't know. But like, I'm giving you a low risk chromosomal abnormality. Now, these were not PGD tested. And if you're listening and you don't know what that is pre-genetic diagnostic testing they can do on an embryo that can give you a heads up, you know, karyotype, etc. Had not been tested. So we see her, we're feeling good. We're like, we're good. I'm already at like 22 weeks by this point. And had not had an anatomy scan though. There was all these like different reasons why. I can't remember. In hindsight, I really don't remember. So now we're like, I don't know, 23, 24, 25. Like the weeks are happening. And she does the scans, like everything looks great. You guys are so great. Everything's so great. But of course, I'm not convinced because I am skeptical of everything. And I'm just feeling nervous. I'm like, I don't know, that nuchal translucency, something's off. But babies are growing, hearts are beating, all is well. I am a big pregnant person, which I love. And got to another anatomy scan. And now we're pushing. I think I had gone on vacation or she went on vacation, something. Like I said, weeks were happening. Maybe we're 26, 27, something of that nature. Does another scan. And I'll never forget till the day I die, the look on the ultrasound tech's face. Like mouth agape, tears in eyes, and was like, I'm gonna go get the doctor. And I was like, well, why? Well, why? And they can't tell you anything, right? Which is wild.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean? Why? You're insane. And I'm like, is it dead? Is it dead? Who's dead? One's dead. I'm dead. Who's dead? And then he's like, no, I'm just gonna get the doctor. But as a man, and he was like emotional. And my husband, who God love him, is just like, you know, la-di-da-di-da. And she comes in. Now she's doing a scan. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's no way, excuse my language, there's no way a doctor does scans unless there's something wrong, whatever. So now she's doing this. It's, can you come back into our office? We want to talk to you. Yeah. So of course I'm like, oh, baby A, who has a nuchal translucency situation, that's what she's going to tell us about, of course. Well, no. She was here to tell me about baby B. Because guess what baby B had? Spina bifida. With hydrocephaly. His brain was filling with fluid. The babies had names. It's hard for me to like say the names, so I'm just going to call them baby A and baby B.
Yeah.
So spina bifida and hydrocephaly, brain filling with fluid, etc. So then now you're down a different path. You're down a path of what are we going to do? Because one baby could baby B was probably not going to live because combined with the spina bifida and the hydrocephaly, it was unlikely, right? And you can live with spina bifida for sure, but you throw in the other things that were happening, it was unlikely. So then the conversation became, do you want to do what is called a selective reduction? Which is when, unfortunately, it's like a Sophie's choice, right? You're like, I have to decide, are we going to, for lack of a better term, kill baby B to save baby A? Well, of course, it's the worst decision in the world. And the reason I can talk about this without having significant emotions is years and years of therapy, all the things. You know, and it's hard too because we do have adopted kids now. And I went through a period of like, I should be so grateful. I should never be sad again. I should never be sad again. But it's like totally different. So that happened. And then it was wild. It was a wild thing. We're meeting with OBGYNs who are like, oh, okay, well, I think I can do a delivery with a selective reduction. I have never done it before. I'm like, stop. Everybody just stop. I'm like, what the frick are we doing? So if you don't have a locked in OB who's willing to do a delivery where baby B is dead and is going to come out dead, and baby A, we hope, will live. Why is this not making sense? We were just like on this loop, right? And mind you, days are going, people can't do things, the selective reduction. So then we decide to do selective reduction after, I'm hysterical. She gets back so we did an amniocentesis because now the question became, is the other baby okay? Because that baby also had a nuchal translucency situation. So we went through with an amniocentesis, horrific, right? Like before you have one, people talk about it and they're like, I would never. And you're like, okay, you would never until you have to. So that is
this
something.
is an elective just for fun.
Exactly right. And like, it's also none of your business. So that was obviously a horrific decision, but it became, if he aborts spontaneously, the other baby could abort. And with 2 spontaneous abortions, you could bleed to death. There was just so many factors, right? So we do amniocentesis, bawling the whole time, just sobbing. My husband's sobbing. There's nothing like watching a needle the size of, it's like 2 feet long, go into your stomach, into your baby moving, getting poked with needle before it's even out. So horrible, horrible, horrible. So we get back the results that, we wanted to like confirm this is spina bifida. It's a certain test. I can't remember the name. We get back those results, confirm. Hydrocephaly was getting worse. Again, weeks are passing. Babies are growing. I am bigger. All the things. The next part is like a really long story, but I'm going to try to shorten it because it's so dramatic that it actually could scare people. I went in to do selective reduction, and that morning, my doctor called me to let us know that the other baby had a horrible chromosomal abnormality that was potentially fatal. Wild. So now she says to me, and now I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I'm like, what would you do? Like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, I mean, you can just like try to give birth. I mean, we're past 24 weeks, right? So it's like try to give birth and see if one can survive and blah, blah, blah. It's like all the options suck. They all suck, right? And then like if baby A, who has this chromosomal abnormality that they discovered in a microarray, doesn't make it, like what are we doing? Right? So are we torturing the baby to come out sick and unwell and it's going to die? What are we doing? So the decision was made that we'll put in the luminary sticks. And if you don't know what those are, it's like these horrific things they stick into your cervix. It's not really to induce labor, but I think it's to make space to get baby out. Had to find a doctor that could handle said situation. And I'll never forget. I mean, my husband was basically carrying me up to like a brownstone in Brookline with this elderly doctor who used to work in the back alleys giving abortions to poor women who couldn't have abortions 30 years ago. I mean, he's this guy. I can't remember his name. Amazing. So I've got the MFM, I've got my fertility doctor, I've got this guy, and we all kind of like make this decision. We're just going to like wing this and see what happens. Very, very, very long story short. During said procedure, well, guess who bled out? So both babies die and I bleed pretty much to death. was it 9? I think it was 9 blood transfusions.
Wow.
Wake up to that. And I just remember being like, and this is so crazy. I was just like, because the doctor looked at me and she goes, listen to me. She was like, you are alive and you have had 8 or 9 blood transfusions. Do not move. And I was like, I mean, she was just like, you need to understand that, like, this is what just happened. And you have been given this many blood transfusions. Like, you cannot move. Do not move. You look like a blown up tick. You know, I don't think, and my poor husband, who has no concept of anything, right? He's just there like, la, 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 la. Like, he has no idea what's going to happen. He's so confused. He's calling his mother, who's a nurse, and like all our family being like, well, she had this many blood transfusions. And they're like, you know, that's like your dad. So then it becomes like the situation, yada, yada. I mean, horrible. There's no way to describe what it's like to somebody when your milk's coming in and there's no babies to feed. There's really no words. So I quickly found, again, I'm now home, no babies, blown up like a tick. You can't even like walk around. You can't even walk. Not only that, you should not, right? It's like the blood has to settle. It's very weird. And I'm saying thank you to everybody on this podcast who donates blood, because I am alive because of blood donations, right? And I remember waking up too, and I was like, wait, but was the blood tested? And she's like, go back to sleep. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what if I have AIDS? Which is like ridiculous. But you know, you're like,
right. There's so many layers of trauma at that point. You're like, of course something else is going to go wrong.
Right. I'm like, oh, great. Now I have HIV. You know, I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
Speaking of like trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, thank you for sharing all this. I know it can't be easy. Even, you know, you said after years of therapy, like you're able to actually talk about this, but it still can't be easy to talk about.
No, it's hard. Although I think it's important because I spent a lot of years after this helping people who are going through infertility, because I needed that sadness and their deaths to mean something. So I actually created this little business called Hope Addict, which is like not a great word to use addict in there, but I was Hope Addict, and I was making fertility like boxes for people who are going through infertility, etc. I needed purpose from that. So time goes on. I ended up going back to work. As a guidance counselor in Dorchester. I went back to work because I had to, right? And I had the same students, right? They had seen me like through miscarriages and being pregnant with these kids. And now I'm back and they still look pregnant, but there's no babies and they're confused and it's just bad. So fast forward 8 weeks to the day when the boys died, to the day I was at work and I went to the bathroom and I was still bleeding. I was like, why am I still bleeding? It's been 8 weeks. Like, I'm still bleeding so much all the time. And they're like, I don't know, 2 babies, 2 placentas, like, it just seems weird, whatever. So I go to the bathroom on the second floor and I go to the bathroom and it's like somebody turned on a faucet. I was like, what the actual? I had a radio with me and I just got on the radio and I radioed to my friend Jess and I was like, go to channel 2. And I said, I remember it so vividly. And I was like, call 911 on your way to the second floor bathroom and you're going to have to get me out of here. She shows up and it's just like gobsmacked. Like we both are just standing there because there's just this pool of blood and it's still coming. It's coming and it's coming and it's coming and it's fast and it's fast and it's fast. And she basically like carries me, I'm like, just run top speed from bathroom to the nurse's office. The kids are in class. And I'm like, we have minutes. So I'm running. I'm like, call the custodian, get him to wipe up the blood before the bell rings. Because this is like how I think. Now I'm in the nurse's office. They're holding me upside down. Imagine trying to keep the blood in with like a fist on my uterus. And I remember hearing the nurse, who I love her to pieces, but I just remember I could hear her say, oh man, she was like, they gonna take her uterus out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hysterical.
Yeah. Not what you say in that moment.
Right? I'm like, you can't take my uterus. Like, I just lost my children. I cannot not have a baby. Ambulance comes. Literally, I mean, we were going 100 miles an hour. And so I get on the boat with my MFM and I'm like, I am bleeding out. I don't know what is happening. She was like, you drive her straight to Beth Israel and I'll meet you there in the freaking whatever it's called, the bay. So we get there. She sends the doctor who we did the other stuff with. He's there. And nobody knows what's going on. So I get rushed in 100 miles an hour. And they're like, this doctor who, adorable. Aren't you so cute? And she was so hopeful. She's like, I think it's placenta. We're just going to go in there. We're going to pull it out and everything's going to be fine. Mind you, I'm getting all the wow, 100 miles an hour. Right. And I'm like, where's my husband? Where's my purse? Where's my stuff? Where's my phone? We're trying to be logical. And my husband literally, like, it's like a movie. Like, as I'm getting like wheeled into surgery, he's like, we're crossing paths. I'm like, love you. IDK. Maybe dead. So, but like we had already been through this like disaster. So he's just like, what the frick is going on? So come out of that surgery and the doctor, she's like, so bad news. We can't stop the bleeding. There's a balloon catheter in your uterus to keep you alive. And we're probably just going to take your uterus out or you're going to die. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Sorry, what'd you say? So now I'm up in a room and this is all true. Hand to God on my kid's life. So I'm in a room. I'm upstairs. All the doctors. And the interns, they love it. Because it's like, what is this? We don't know what's happening. This is interesting. And I just remember this doctor sitting down with me and she was like, so listen, I read your history. I know this is going to be really hard for you, but we're taking your uterus out right now. And I'm like, hysteria. In walks Dr. Skiatis, fertility doctor. Well, what the frick are you doing here? And she's like, what the frick are you doing here? Because I just went to go do surgery and saw Lauren Leiden on the wall, hysterectomy. And I go, well, yeah, they're taking my uterus because I'm bleeding to death again. She's like, okay, everybody stop. No word of a lie. Everybody stop. Stop right now. Stop everything you're doing. She was like, there's one thing it could be. An AVM. An AVM is an ultravenous vesicular malformation. Typically in the brain, you could have one in your brain and just, you're dead, or you could have one in your brain and they could embolize it, you'd be fine. When a woman typically bleeds out in birth, it's typically an AVM they did not know they had. So it's genetic or it's just random. And it's just all your little blood vessels deciding they're going to create their own little blood source that can never be stopped unless you embolize. So go through an MRI. I'm a disaster, but I'm just like, I'm on my meds. I'm going through the MRI. Guess what? It's an AVM. So then I go into interventional radiology. They embolize it through my femoral arteries, the most painful thing you can ever think of in your entire life, getting glue shot through an artery. Okay. So that had to sit for 2 days. And I had another surgery where they were like, if it worked and you're not bleeding. Now, mind you, I'm walking around with a blood bag, but a balloon catheter in my uterus. Because I'm like, I'm not giving you my uterus. In hindsight, I should have just given them my uterus. So I was having everybody. I was like, is there a preacher? Is there a pastor? Is there a rabbi? Is there like anybody? People were like praying over my uterus. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was a mess. And then, of course, I got post-embolic syndrome, which was another disaster. And then they pulled it out and my uterus didn't bleed. So it had worked. Fast forward to now, mind you, we still have embryos. Lots of them that I worked really hard for. So I get cleared. This is months. And I'm sure people were like, she's insane. But mind you, my husband was like not ready to do adoption. And my doctor was like, listen, your insurance is covering your fertility. In adoption is a whole nother ball of wax. The money is worse. I mean, she's like, I think we should try again. And I trusted her, right? Like, and I still do. I don't think she ever did anything wrong. But that advice was hard, right? It was hard to hear. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So guess who had another miscarriage? All the placenta was stuck. Had to do the miscarriage in the hospital because I was a bleeder, blah, 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 blah. Then we went down a surrogacy path that did not work out. God bless my surrogate, because I think she's more traumatized by it than we were. I remember going out to dinner with her and her husband, and I love them. I love them. Her name is Faith. Of course, her name was Faith. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's meant to be. She's going to have your baby. It's going to be so great. And then she did not. And everybody was just, I mean, it was like, oh, how could this happen? And blah, blah, blah. And the doctor's like, this has never happened before. Blah, blah, blah. All thanks. I lost the embryos. Now I'm done. I'm done. This is years. I mean, we're in 4 or 5 years now with still no baby. And just like, this is your whole life. So I'm done. I say to the doctor, I want to go away. I am unwell. I want to be treated as an unwell person, because I think you're all not understanding how unwell I am, because I'm still functioning. And I am a counselor, so I know what you want to hear, and I know how to get through the day, but I am not okay in any way. So I get a bed at McLean. They say, we're going to put you in a bed at McLean, urgent, fine. I don't know why my husband had the wherewithal to even think this thought. Not that he's not smart, but just like, he always like comes through in the clutch, interestingly. And he's like, if you go to McLean, we'll never be able to adopt. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Which is sick, right? Like, oh, God forbid you want to be okay. They'll hold that against you in an adoption application, right?
Your well-being should be the top priority, because then you are a better parent.
Correct.
Ultimately.
Why? It's just a ridiculous situation. So then we started down the adoption gauntlet, is what I like to call it. I don't like the word journey, because journeys sound fun and journeys are cute. And it is not cute or fun. We met our birth mother. She picked us from Florida. And I love her. I don't know where she is. I don't know what she's doing, but I do love her. Good person. And I don't want to tell all her business, but, there had been other children, etc. The baby's father was not anyone that she speaks to, yada, yada, all the things. She picks us. She's terrified to have a girl, yada, yada. She's in Florida. And that was the hard thing about adoption. Like, I don't think I realized that, like, they pick you. We met her. She picked us. We went down. Tori was born on 1/1/20. So Tori really rang in the worst year ever, right? Well, hello, it was COVID 2 minutes later.
Yeah, that's a tough time to have a newborn.
A colicky newborn who was born NAS and all the things, right? So now you have to stay in the state that you adopted the child from for like, I think it was like 2 weeks or something. And I just remember friends were calling and they're like, I just feel like you should order a bunch of stuff from Amazon so it's at your house. And I'd be like, why are you being so intense about it? Like, I get it. And also there's a 48-hour period once the baby is born, that the birth mother signs the paperwork to give to you. She can change her mind in that 48 hours. And that happens a lot.
And it's different state by state. Some states have a longer, I forget what the term is.
That's true, which is brutal.
Yep.
So in that, and we knew people, stuff like that had happened to. So I had I brought, what did I bring? Nothing. I think I had a binky and some diapers. And that was it. I was like, I'm not bringing a car seat. I'm going to bring, because remember, I had already taken a nursery down.
Right.
I wasn't, no. So 48 hours comes. Okay. So now we have this baby and we're in a hotel and we're in Florida and it's disgusting and I hate everybody and she's crying all the time. And I'm like, what have we done? This is the worst idea ever. Mind you, all you ever wanted. And now you're just like slapped in the face with all the things, right? You don't really even think you're going to have postpartum because you're like, well, I've been taking care of kids my whole life. Like, it'll be fine. Well, no, of course I had postpartum. I mean, my anxiety was so bad. I was paralyzed. Thank God for my husband. I don't know why he was like, okay in that space. He just kind of like took over and I was like, I am paralyzed. So we bring Tori home. We're back. We live in Hanover, Mass. We're back in Massachusetts, yada, yada. Well, then of course, COVID comes. horrible, 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 horrible. Stuck in this, house with this colicky baby. I'm like, she's never gonna like us. Like, ah. So finally she comes out of her colic around like 4 or 5 months and she's perfect and I love her and we're all happy. Well, guess who calls? Birth mother. Ring, ring. Oh, hey. Hey, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to jail. And we're like, okay, love ya. Cool. Like, hadn't really heard from her here and there. It was an open adoption, but like, not interested. Couldn't really deal with it. Had tried to get on a couple calls. She never showed up. I was like, we're not doing this. So, and she's like, as dysfunctional as her situation is, she is a good person. I believe that. I believe she placed Tori with us out of love. I do. And that's what I tell my kids all the time. I say, your adoptions were only love. Every single person just loved you. Her, the doctor, the social worker, us. And that's why you're with us. Because she was just sick. So she says, I'm going to jail. We say, okay. And then she says, and I'm pregnant. And I'm like, I'm sorry, would you say? Are you talking to me? Because I'm holding the baby you had, so I don't understand how you could be pregnant. Like, I can't get pregnant, right? So I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, okay. So when you adopt, and I don't think people realize this, in a private adoption, because we did try the DCF route, you're working with a lawyer and the social worker and all the people and it's like all these people in your business. And it's an awful process. It's demoralizing, really. We had to pass a swim test. Although probably everyone should pass a swim test.
A swim test?
Yep, you had to pass a swim test. I mean, they would ask you questions that were so wild, right? Like your sex life or your like finances, which understandably they're trying to place this child properly. But it's also just such a dehumanizing process because you're like, here I am. Here's all my money that I don't have. Here's my house. Here's the baby's room. Here's this. But I don't know. We're still going to decide if you're good enough. You're making videos. You're doing pictures. It's embarrassing, really. And God, I'm just so grateful just thinking back to it. So now she's in jail. She's pregnant. And I'm like talking to her. Because she's like, I'm the only person she'll talk to. So she's like jail mailing me. And I'm like, this is going to be looked at as coercion. You can't.
That's a tough situation.
Right. We can't do this without that in place.
Yeah. She's trying to place the baby with you, but not necessarily through the proper channels.
Exactly right. And I am just like, this isn't going to work out. She gets out of jail. We're like, my husband and I are like, well, we can't not take this baby because I'm not going to let my daughter's brother swirl around the Florida foster care system and have to explain that to her. I'm not doing that. But were we prepared to take a baby? No. Were we financially prepared to take a baby? No. All the things, no. But had to. So we're trying to figure out finances and this and that and this and that. And, she's using and all the things. And so finally we get to a place where she's agreed to meet with the lawyer and the social worker because now she's just like, I have no money. And I'm like, I can't give you money until you connect with them. So we're doing it legally, right? I'm not going to go to jail for coercion. So she finally agrees, yada, yada. We go through all the things. She has baby on July 2nd, 2021. And I'm like, we're not bringing Tori. She's staying home with Chris. I will go get baby, even though I was petrified, right? But, you're just, when you're a mom, like you're just locked in. Like survival mode. Go, 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 go. So I get down there. There's a hurricane. No word of alive, like a stage 4, stage 5 hurricane. They're all freaking out. I'm back and forth getting waters. I'm in a hotel room. Baby comes out. Perf. Baby's perfect. I'm literally with a credit card. Get a visual. It is a hurricane. And I'm like, I got to get this baby in the car into the hotel. I have like 10 minutes. And I'm like swiping. She's like, oh, there wasn't enough on this credit card. I'm like, okay, take this one. She's like, I'm like, just put the last 10 grand on this, blah, blah, blah. Like insanity. that's kind of the story. And now we have Tori is 6 and Chase is 4, but they're what, 15 months and a day? Is that what that is? Something like that. Way too close is what it is. And they're beautiful and they're amazing and they're a gift. And I'll never forget the social worker. Her name is Londa and I love her so much. And she handed Tori to me and she said, she just looked at me and said, "This is a financial transaction and a gift from God." In like
That's
a parking lot. It's just like, that's how that goes. And the same thing with Chase. And here they are. And it's like, I just can't imagine my life without them. But I also like, somebody they'll have to understand. They know they had brothers that passed away. But they are, I would like to help people who want to adopt also, because that is really hard. Really hard. And we made mistakes. Even in infertility, we made mistakes. Not mistakes, just a lot of bad things happen that didn't necessarily need to.
Well, so there's a question that we ask all of our guests, and before we get to that, it ties in. But thank you for sharing all of this.
I know.
It can't be easy, no matter how many hours of therapy you have, that's amazing. I'm really glad that you got the support that you needed throughout all this. But it's not a walk in the park to revisit some of this.
No, but it's good because you have to remember where you came from sometimes. Yeah. It's not that I'm not grateful every second of every day, but sometimes, life is hard and right now is hard, right? Being a parent is hard. I'm going to be 46 years old and I have a 4-year-old. Do not recommend. But, who would have thought I wouldn't have a baby till I was 40? Never in a million. If you had told the 20-year-old me that, I would have been like, never talk to me again. You're insane. And I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I don't. I think things just happen. And the advice I would give someone is reach out for support and don't let the stigma prevent you from not making mistakes. Because I think that stigma, which I still don't understand, because I did so much work. I had a website and a podcast. I mean, not a podcast. I had an Instagram page and it was called Hope Addict. And it was like, just.
It was great.
Yeah. It's like, I'm out here telling you what's going on, release the stigma, but so many people suffer in silence.
Yeah. And I think also we are making decisions based on the information we have at the moment in our somewhat tunnel vision experience. And I think that's why sharing stories like this can be so helpful and healing to other people, because it opens up the world and it helps us to make, I think, better decisions the more we know.
Absolutely. And if there's anybody listening to this and wants my email and has any questions, even if it's as small as like, oh, I have a blocked tube, like ask, because the reality is, and there's a lot of wonderful doctors, but everybody's trying to make a buck, and that's just the facts. So you have to be really careful about what decisions you're letting them make for you and what decisions you're really truly making on your own. And I think I made a lot of decisions because I was just panicked. I was like, we'll go faster. It has to go faster. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when you feel that time pressure.
Totally. And I had bad cycles. I had cycles where nothing produced, where like, there's one egg and it was necrotic. Like, it's horrible. I think the most important thing is that, I hate to say this, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a parent, you can be a parent. And we had to ask ourselves that question. Do you want to carry a baby or do you want to be a parent? And if you want to be a parent, there are many ways to skin that cat. And reach out for help. Don't give up. And just continuously talk, because you will find so many people who've had miscarriages, so many people who've been through IVF. It's so much more common than people realize. I remember someone saying to me, when I was having one particular miscarriage, and she was like, I don't think I've ever known anybody who had a miscarriage. I'm like, well, then your friends don't tell you the truth,
Right. People don't trust you with that information then.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, that leads to another question, which is if someone's listening and they want to support a person in their life who might be going through what would you say to them? How can a friend or family member support someone who's struggling to build their family?
You know what? That's an emotional question because I think that's one of the hardest parts is what you lose.
Mm.
You lose a lot
Yeah.
when you go through it but you gain a lot, right? Like the children are the most important part. But yeah, I mean, we definitely lost friends who were like, I can't, this is just too much for me. I had lots of friends that were just having babies all over town, just babying away. And I was just like, I can't go to this baby shower because I'm throwing up in the bathroom. I tried, I got all the way there. And then I just puked in the bathroom for an hour and had to leave. I'm so sorry. And that was hard. And I think people say, oh, I didn't know what to say. Then say that. Say, I don't know what to say, but I am here. That's okay to say that.
Yeah, that can be incredibly supportive and healing for someone to hear.
Exactly right. And quite frankly, there really isn't anything good you can say because people say it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. Well, you don't know that and that's not helpful. So like, but then you don't want to be mean and be like, well, don't talk to me. It's like, let's just have ice cream.
Yeah.
And also like, I'm going to cry and I'm going to cry. But I think there's a guilt, right? A lot of my friends, I think, felt guilty and that was on them. That's your issue. I didn't make you feel guilty. I was never rude to anybody. Don't disappear. Just be there and like know that, hopefully your friend's story will have a good ending, right? And a real friend is there for the good and the bad. And like I said, if anybody ever like just wants to ask questions or talk or even just talk, right, to somebody who understands, I do a lot of work as a counselor. I'm working towards my LMHC right now. And I want to work with women who had postpartum because I also had really bad postpartum.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that Venn diagram of people who have navigated infertility or challenging family situations and people who have PMADs it's a pretty tight circle.
Yeah, the Venn diagram is a good way to put it, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. It's all wild, right? Hormones are wild, raising kids is wild, being a human is wild. But if you're here for it and you're willing to, do the work, you can be a parent.
Well, Ruthie, thank you for sharing all of your story, the highs, the lows. And I'm so glad that, you felt comfortable enough talking about what you've gone through. And hopefully folks who are listening, if, they resonate with a part of your story, will feel a little bit less alone. And thank you for offering to chat with anybody. If you reach out to us at AllPaths, we can make that connection happen.
Yeah. And if you're bored and you're on Instagram, just look up #HopeAddict and you'll see pictures of women from like all over the world talking about, this to get rid of the stigma.
Ruthie, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, girls.
Yeah, this is my first time hearing your whole story, Ruthie. So I really appreciate everything that it was. I mean, you've touched so many different parts of a journey, as we love that word too. But I mean, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and like I said, I have touched every part. We've got the surrogacy, the adoption, the infertility. Like, I am happy to answer any questions, walk people through things that really you feel so alone.
Well, hopefully there will be a lot of people who won't feel so alone anymore. Thanks to you.
I hope so. If I can, if my story helps anybody, then I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week with more family building stories and resources. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so that you never miss an episode. And follow us on social media at AllPathsFB or visit our website, allpathsfb.org, to learn more about our work. And please help spread the word so that anyone who is struggling to grow their family can join the conversation. AllPaths Family Building is so grateful to the members of our circle of support. And today, we want to recognize and thank Rainbow sponsor Granada Bio. Your partnership is vital to our ability to provide emotional support, education, and advocacy that is open to anyone who is struggling to grow their family. And to the entire AllPaths community, thank you for being here. It's an honor to walk with you on your journey.